How's it going? I'm Jared Gillis. Welcome to another All About RVs. Today I wanted to go over with you guys an RV modification we've done. We've done a few things for the RV sewer connections on our RV, but one in particular gets a lot of questions asked. So we've added extra storage, an extra tube underneath the RV, which has been great. We also added one of those twist-on valves for the outlet, but the one that gets the most questions and people wanted to know how we did it was we combined two outlets, sewer outlets on our RV to one. So this two valve outlet that we had on our RV for the wastewater system, two different locations to empty the tanks, apparently resonated with a lot of people out there that have that type of a system rather than just one port out to be able to dump all your tanks. So this is something that I wanted to give you more details about because a lot of you were asking how we accomplished this. So what we did is we had another place to empty the tanks back here. We have this valve that connects to our galley tank for the kitchen, and it came out right here. So we had to dump this tank, we had to dump the other tank, but is what we had is right out of this tank, because the tank sits right underneath here, is they just had an elbow. It's all in ABS. I just have this PVC to help show you what's going on in there, because even when I drop the underbelly, you really can't see underneath there. So I wanted to help you see what was going on there. So directly out of the tank. So basically you have the tank, and then you would come to a valve. This will represent our valve because this bolts right onto a valve. And then they used it, they came down with an elbow, and then they came straight out with another elbow, and that's what we would connect to. So it had that configuration right from the tank to the valve and out. So is what I did first is I measured. That's first off really important to do because you want to have enough fall in your pipe to do it properly. So your pipe should have a 1/4 inch per foot fall in order to get from point A to point B. So what that means is for every foot that your pipe is moving horizontally, it needs to drop a 1/4 inch. So I measured that off of the frame, and so I saw how far we needed to go, how much lower we were on the other side for the outlet compared to the tank over here, and I saw that we had enough fall. So if you're going 12 feet, you need to be able to drop 3 inches as an example, and that's pretty close to what we had here. As far as materials that we used to be able to do this modification is we used ABS pipe. So this is PVC that I'm holding here. The ABS pipe is the black pipe that you'll see on the bottom of RVs, and I wanted it to all be the same. So I'm gonna put links down in the description to the ABS version of what I'm showing you here in my hand. You also notice that these look a little bit different. So this is considered a sweep, so that as water's flowing through it, nothing is gonna be restricting it hitting a sharp 90. So we wanna use these so that we're not restricting that water flow in any way. Now the fittings are easy to order, and the pipe, if you get that on Amazon, it can be a little bit more difficult because you have to buy it in shorter sections. We actually found a length of pipe, so we didn't have a bunch of sections, at a manufactured home supply store while we were traveling. So they didn't have it at Lowe's and Home Depot, but we were able to find a supply store for manufactured homes that stocked it. Now another piece of the puzzle to make this happen is we needed the back side of our valve. So basically they had the tank, and immediately out of the tank they had the valve. The valve would sit right here. This bolts onto the valve and actually completes the valve so that it can seal up. There's a rubber gasket that sits right here on this lip where that blade closes it off. And so by buying a new one of these, we now can glue on new pipe, and we're not having to mess with anything else. We're starting with new, and then we can plumb down to where we need it to be. Let me show you how this fits on a valve. We have one of those twist-on valves that it's easy to see. So here's the valve, and you can see how it works. You have the valve portion in the middle, and then you basically have your adapters and the part that it seals to on the ends that are bolted on. So if you remove these bolts, it allows you to take this end off. So on here, we have the termination for being able to connect on our drain hose, but over there, we're connecting what we can have as a solvent to ABS on the other side. So once you unbolt the other one, you can bolt the new one on. So you can just see real plainly here. You remove those bolts, you can remove this side of the valve, put the new one on, and bolt it into place. On this side, as far as plumbing, you can see that we added this Y onto the end here. We had to just cut the plumbing, cut off this 3-inch pipe with enough to be able to put this fitting on there and glue this Y on there. This one has a sweeping 90 on there. It would have worked to have a 45 and a 45 and line it up, but this sweeping 90 actually lined up really nice with our plumbing. So on the end, we glue a sewer termination adapter, and then the other side of that sweep is sloping from the other side of the RV, sloping to this point. Okay, let's take a look at the fittings over here, because we have a 90 that comes out of the tank. We have a couple of fittings that give us an offset to get below the frame, and then the pipe takes us the rest of the way to that Y that we just looked at on the other side. Now on this side for the plumbing, we had our valve, and rather than just bringing that 90 and coming straight down like they had, we angled it in the direction that we wanted to go to get us going in the right direction. So I held that line until we had the frame in our way, and then I used a couple of offsets to be able to offset, to be able to drop it down the frame. This brought us back down, and then this held our line again all the way over. So this allowing us to go in the right direction with our offsets to get below any obstructions is what allowed us to do the plumbing on this end. And then we also needed to support it every 4 feet. I would have preferred to use the original support like they had on the RV here, but I used some plumbing strap because it's what I had available to me. So I used a section of that. I put a bolt in there so that I could clamp it around the pipe so it was very secure on there, and then you secure that to the RV. Again, every 4 foot is minimum for that. The other thing that we had to do is we had to seal up that penetration in the underbelly where the original plumbing came out. We sprayed foam in there like they did everywhere else to seal it up. We also had to cut a hole when we did our plumbing for it to come out of the underbelly in the new location. So we just sprayed that with foam as well to seal that up around there. So that is all the details for how we removed the second drain location in the back here and got rid of the Y for being able to connect it when we're at RV park for a while. It just created more of a mess and more chance for errors than just having the one drainage point. Much easier, much faster, and cleaner in the long run to set up. This is a modification that I would absolutely do again, 100%. We still have the 3 valves to empty the tanks. We still have the black, the gray, and the galley in the back. We didn't change anything about the way that it might affect it in freezing temperatures because we still have the original valves right at the tank. So I think that's gonna do it for today. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you wanna see more videos about RVing, hit that subscribe button. And if we don't see you on the road, hopefully we will see you next video.